Good afternoon. We have another episode of Weekly Review with Vinnie and Sharifah. I'm your co-host, Sharifah Hardy, and we have...
Hi, Vinnie, your other co-host.
Yes. How are you doing this week, Vinnie?
I am doing fantastic.
Okay, so I take it we're going to be able to hear what's so fantastic, because you know I'm dying to jump right in there with the story of everything that's going on this week.
Well, maybe, okay, I'll bring it down. Maybe not fantastic, maybe more so very, very good. Is that better?
I like fantastic.
All right, I'll go back.
I was rooting for fantastic.
So this week, I had a couple of interviews for the podcast. For the real estate aspect of it, the real estate team opened up a couple of escrows and also brought on a new team member for our team in the real estate aspect of it. So, yeah. Pretty busy and pretty eventful week.
Okay, so we're going to dive into more details about that because I want to know all about it, not just a little overview recap of Vinnie's week. But I'm going to start. Okay, You have to tell me how you know Michael Carini, because he was a guest on my podcast this Monday, and he was amazing. I literally started to tear up when listening to his story. He explained how he was an artist and how he paints and how he shares his art. But then he just started telling me these incredible things that happened to him in his life and how he was assaulted by someone in his own house.
And did he show you the pictures?
No, because it was the podcast. I think I'll have to come back and bring him back on one of the video casts.
Yeah, the pictures are wild. He posted them online. Sorry, I was just tagging in it so he could watch. But yeah, it's wild. It's a crazy story. And then he told you how he came up with his logo, right? Based off of what he saw.
No, see, that's why I'm here. Like, you got to give me the inside scoop, because this is one of the questions I have for you, Vinnie. Being a podcast host or radio host or whatever you want to call it, do you ever have those times when you feel like you should push, but you don't know if you can push because you don't know how the guest is going to respond to it? Because with Michael, he was talking and I'm like, I know there's more. I know there's a story. And he was just like, well, I love to help people. I love to help people. And I wanted to be like, but why? What's the story behind it? So towards the end, the last 15 minutes of the hour, he started to really open up and I got more of the gist of the story. But I didn't want to pry because some things are personal.
On my podcast, Road to Growth, I ask beforehand most of the time, is there anything off limits? And I try to ask that at least. And so when I ask that question, is there anything off limits? And they say no. I've had a couple people tell me that there's things off limits, so I'm really protective about that. But when they tell me no, there's nothing off limits, then I pry away. I think that makes better content.
No, it wasn't really the prying aspect in that nature, because what I always ask everyone before the show, I ask the guest, is what areas you would like me to focus on and are there any areas you wanted me to stay away from? Yeah. But what I mean by prying with Michael was that it seemed like his answers were kind of high level. It was like, how people, to me, it kind of felt like, and this is not a negative thing against him because I think he was wonderful, but some of the answers sounded like a Miss America pageant, where he was like, I want to save the world. And I'm like, okay, but why? Why? What's the motivation?
Well, with him, he talks to a lot of students and artists getting into the field. So I think he keeps it on a higher level because he does that on a consistent basis. And so you kind of have to dive deeper to, I think, get the true story of stuff.
Yes.
But he has definitely impressive story. So what happened was he was talking about on the podcast that when he woke up from the incident of getting beat up pretty severely, he saw that piece, and I'm gonna probably butcher it if you're watching Michael, but he saw that logo that he has on all his designs, where it's like a cracked mirror, and that's kind of why he has his design as that cracked mirror right there.
No, he didn't. I don't believe we discussed the cracked mirror, but if anyone is watching, I think I'll go ahead and post that link in the comment section. I'll do that right now. But what was so interesting, where he completely blew me away, was the story of him I say story, but it was his life when he was assaulted, and how the person who assaulted him in his own home called him and basically asked for forgiveness. And not only did he forgive the person, but he invited the guy back into his home. And now they're friends on Facebook. And I'm like, wow, that, to me is just rare, because I always tell people, once you do something to me, I still love you, but I can love you from a distance. I don't necessarily have to have you in my circle or give you the opportunity to do those things again. But just listening to Michael Carini when he was talking, you could see the just passion and the humbleness and the compassion. You can hear it in his voice. And I was completely amazed.
Yeah, he's definitely an impressive person. We talked about that. We talked about just his positive outlook on different things. I'm assuming he talked to you about how he was like a month away from being homeless.
We discussed homelessness, but if you want to bring that up, definitely would love to hear more, because I think I want to bring him back because he was so interesting.
Yeah. So he was talking about it, and again on the podcast, he was saying how he was a month away from being homeless, and this one actor, and I forgot the actor's name, some actor on Broadway, found his paintings and reached out to him. He didn't respond back to him for about a week or 2 weeks. Carini didn't, and so the guy ended up reaching out to him again a couple weeks later, and was like, "I want to buy your paintings, man. Like, help me." And so he bought his paintings, and then was able to show his. He told his sphere of influence to buy his paintings also, and then he started getting a following based off of that one individual. So he goes, I owe what I have to that actor.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Yes, you might want to do his PR.
He didn't tell you any of this?
He probably did. You know what I mean? Somehow it just sounds different. He just seems so shy. I think he's one of those, and I did put the link to the entire interview in the comment section, but he just seemed like one of those people that didn't want to tell his story or go too deep into it. And when people are sensitive, I don't like to just, because believe me, I can open up all kinds of doors, and I have everybody crying on the show. So I'm not going to do that. But I did post the link, and I want to welcome Sherry, Stacy, Tom, Jimmy, Val.
There you go.
We're all here. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, Daisy, please feel free to ask them in the comment section, because we are live. You are listening to the weekly review. Weekly review. I'm tired. It's Thursday. The weekly review with Vinnie and Sharifah. So welcome, Shalonda.
Sharifah, now, again, we're all friends here. Are you tired? Have you had a couple cocktails already?
No, I haven't had cocktails yet. I can't get to my cocktails.
Wine, no, cocktails, sorry.
No, wine, cocktails. I can't get to any of that stuff until a show is over. That's why maybe I need a little something. But no, I'm just excited. I've been dying to do this show all week because I wanted to talk to you about Michael Carini. I wanted to thank you for recommending him to the show, because he was just a blessing. He was really a blessing, because you keep hearing about things in the news where, people are doing this and people are killing this person or people are shooting this person, which brings me to my next topic. But then you hear someone who just wants to help people and do good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Nipsey Hussle. Are you familiar with Nipsey Hussle? Today was his funeral. Did you hear about that?
No. Who's that? Oh, am I losing street cred right here? No, what's going on? Nipsey Hussle. Who's this?
You know what? You lost like a lot of credit. But what? You know what?
He's a rapper?
He's a rapper. But you know what?
I think I've seen that stuff. Yes.
Yes. But this is the thing, though. You said basically the same thing that I did. Now, he was gunned down at his own store, at the Marathon store, actually on my birthday, the 31st of March.
Yeah. Ever
since then, President Obama, every celebrity, every politician has been just honoring him. They had his funeral today at the Staples Center. The last person that they had a funeral for at the Staples Center was Michael Jackson. So Nipsey Hussle is only the second person where they've had a funeral at the Staples Center. They opened up the tickets for Nipsey Hussle's funeral, and they were sold out in 30 minutes.
Dang.
So I did an interview on Friday, I believe it was,
Okay.
with Pastor Eddie Jones.
Okay.
And Pastor Eddie Jones spoke at this memorial service that they had at the Marathon store, which is on Crenshaw and Slauson.
Okay.
And so he gave this speech. The Nation of Islam, a whole bunch of people came to this memorial service. And so I had to ask Pastor Eddie Jones, I said, this is my question. You know, I've heard of Nipsey Hussle. I've heard of him. I would not be able to mention any of his rap songs. I don't know any of the lyrics to anything he's ever written. So I'm trying to understand, out of all the people in the world, why Nipsey Hussle's death is so monumental. People are saying that he was assassinated. You know, they're making him into like the greatest of all time. And so I just wanted to know if you heard about that, because everyone's talking about it, and yet I can't even name any of his music. I can name a lot of Michael Jackson's music.
Well, that just means one thing. It means that you're not hip with it.
Thank you, Vinny.
I've seen a lot. I've seen the thing you're talking about, where it's like all this stuff about this rapper, and I don't know. It was funny. I was working out yesterday at my gym. I was just doing the elliptical machine, a little workout in, and I was listening to podcasts. That's like all I listen to. Like when music's on, sometimes I'll throw it on the radio. But I'm so bad. Someone told me an artist. They go, "Oh yeah, listen to so and so." I think like Cracker Jack or something like that. I don't know. I was like, I have no clue who that is. I have no clue what it is. Like, you tell me a rapper, you tell me a singer. It's pretty bad. Is Backstreet Boys doing their thing?
Are you asking me? You must be asking someone in the comment section. I don't follow the Backstreet Boys. But Val says Nipsey Hussle, he was a good man. She says, so sad, a rapper. Tom Thornton says Nipsey Hussle was about to make a documentary about Dr. Sebi. And now I did hear about that after he passed away. So a lot of people are saying the reason that Nipsey Hussle was killed was because he was about to make this documentary about Dr. Sebi. And Dr. Sebi is the person or the doctor who had found and had went to court to prove that he could cure cancer and he could cure AIDS, and that the root of all disease was mucus. And so Dr. Sebi, he was older in age, but he was perfectly healthy. He went out of the country. They said he had pneumonia, and then all of a sudden he died. So Nipsey Hussle was about to make a documentary about Dr. Sebi, and then all of a sudden Nipsey Hussle's dead.
Whoa. Oh man, that's quite the conspiracy right there.
I know. And so when I go down my timeline, people of all walks of life are discussing Nipsey Hussle. So I just wanted to know if it made its way down to San Diego, if you had any thoughts on it.
You know, I don't venture out a lot. Maribel, she ventures out a lot more than I do. But I've seen it like on social media. I saw like some Gary Vee stuff where he was talking about Nipsey Hussle. I saw someone else posting stuff about Nipsey Hussle, but I haven't been at the water cooler and talked about Nipsey Hussle. So I'm not sure how prevalent it is down this way. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to talk to Val and ask Val to get you into more water cooler conversations, because we need to be able to review the week. So I need you to have a viewpoint on the week and what's going on in the world.
You know, next time I'll get on Nipsey Hussle. I'm going to bring it up to some of the people that I've had a chance to talk to today.
Okay.
All right.
That's fair.
So I talked to, it was so funny, on yesterday, I think it was. Yesterday, well actually, so the beginning of the week I talked to this gentleman named Tommy Reynolds. He owns about 7 gyms down in San Diego called Hardcore Fitness. So it's actually something for myself that I got involved in, where I go there religiously. I wake up at 3:40 to 4 o'clock and go at the 4:30 a.m. Class. And so it's group lifting. So it's kind of like it's a play off of CrossFit, but instead of CrossFit, you're basically just group training. So that's something I got involved with. So I was lucky to talk to him. And one of the things that kind of, you know, when you're having an interview, there's like usually 2 little segues or 2 little tidbits that you pull off of it. And one thing that I thought was really interesting, he was saying that most personal trainers are insecure individuals. And he was
Oh, wow.
yeah, he goes that's why they try to make their body to the shape that it is. They'll either
Mm-hmm.
fall out of a relationship or something bad will happen, and that gives them the extra motivation to better themselves. And so that kind of actually made it kind of interesting, because I remember a podcast I was listening to Will Smith, and he
Mm-hmm.
got dumped when he was young. And he goes, I got dumped at that time. And after that, I was like, I'm going to be the biggest celebrity out, the biggest movie star, because I never want to have that feeling again. I never want anyone to actually ever leave me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's powerful what that pain can push. And so that was kind of like the idea with what he told me. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of what driven him to build this chain down here.
Mm-hmm. No, that's interesting. I actually did CrossFit for about a month.
Why did you leave only a month?
Because it was too much for me. It was too much. The instructor would have us take chains, and we would have to pull the chains, and we would have to do just too much. We have to like jump up on tires. It was just way too much. I'm a cutesy kind of girl. Like I just need step aerobics.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I've done CrossFit before, and I didn't really like it either because I was using your own weight. There's a lot of that kind of stuff you're talking about. This is actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's like going to the gym, but in a
Mm-hmm.
group setting, having your own personal trainer, but in a group. That's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
easiest way to describe it. Group personal training.
No, I like that because, see, I need someone to keep me motivated. I need someone there to say, you can do it, don't stop, and kind of keep, the reminders to keep me going back to the gym. I didn't care for CrossFit. I joined 24-Hour Fitness, not that that's a plug for them, but a little while ago, and I was going by myself. I like that camaraderie. I like what you said about he started it because he was a little insecure. I can definitely see that. Even what Will Smith was saying, one of the things that always drives me personally is that I was divorced twice. That's like my driving passion. And I always tell people one day, both of those guys are going to turn on the TV and they're going to ask themselves, is that Sharifah? That's Sharifah. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be a household name just so one day these two individuals in the world can turn on their televisions and see me. Like, sometimes you just need something to push you and to keep you going.
Well, jumping back to our previous conversation about Carini, if you needed some motivation, you have to follow his Instagram.
Okay.
Because I was telling you that he found that demographic of people off of the actor, right? And that demographic, it seems to be women in their 30s to 40s. And so he does a lot of workouts when he's not painting with his shirt off.
Michael Carini just joined us. Hey, Michael, we were just talking about you. I was sharing your interview. Vinny was giving some feedback. I need to follow you on Instagram. So hello, thank you for joining us. Oh, wonderful. We actually have him here in the comments. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free. I posted the link to your interview in the comments above. So yes.
So then I interviewed him this week. Tommy for the gyms, and then I interviewed James Moran, I think it was, yeah. And so he invests actually in businesses. That's his big thing. So he takes companies that are kind of plateauing and takes them to the next level. But I thought it was very interesting. He's recently sat down with 200 companies that he was able to find. And out of 200 companies, he only found one company that he actually wanted to invest in. And so in our industry, in the real estate industry, we talk to 100 people with the assumption that one person is going to want to actually buy or sell or invest in real estate. And so I was like, wow, he's actually taken to the next level where it's 200 people and only one of them might be a possibility for him. And in the end, he didn't end up putting something together with them. So I just thought it was like a lot of work to get to that point for that one.
You said it was two people?
No, it's one business. So the 200 businesses that he sat down with and talked to,
okay,
one was a good fit for them to invest in, and in the end, they couldn't come to an agreement on pricing.
Oh, wow. Typically, investors invest in about 10 different businesses, and they invest with the knowledge that 8 of those businesses aren't going to make them any money. But the hope is that the 2 businesses that make some money are enough to cover the losses for the other 8 businesses.
Yeah. So one of my old professors was telling me, I think it was like the idea was 3 of them are going to be massive failures. And then like 6 or 5 of them or something like that are going to be like break even or something. And then you hope for that one golden goose.
Right.
So
because it's kind of like the it factor. People always ask what the it factor is, and you never know. You can't guarantee it. You may think that this business has full potential, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually going to pan out.
So Michael, he just put on there, I think he's gym time in 15 minutes.
Yes.
If you're still watching, Michael, why don't you put your Instagram tag on there so everyone can see you work it.
Yes, because we've been talking about you, Michael. Your interview was just amazing. I thought it was awesome. I thought he had a wonderful spirit. So I definitely have to check him out on Instagram. So you did those 2 interviews this week.
I have 2 more.
2 more. Okay, let's hear about those.
Okay, 2 more, and then we'll get. So the other one, her name is So Loca.
Mm-hmm.
So her name's Claudia, but she goes by So Loca. She's not a seamstress. She used a different word, but she does a lot of the out-of-the-box thinking. One of the things I thought was really interesting is she goes, most of the people in the sewing industry are older, and so they're can be a tad bit judgmental on the outfits that you're putting together for them, for the people that come in. So, like, if you're looking for something maybe a little risque, she's the no judgment shop in San Diego.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting way of putting it. And then today I talked to 2 chiropractors, but that was the extent of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, I want to go back to So Loca.
Okay.
I think that's interesting, but you know what I see when I hear that is I hear that's branding. You know what I mean? And it's wonderfully done. It's beautifully done because it really is branding. Because somebody else would have the same thing, same type of store, and just call it "We sell sexy clothes." You know, she puts a spin on it that makes it sound unique. It makes it sound interesting, and it's for a specific audience.
Yeah.
Val says bye. Bye, Val. We love you. We will talk to you next Thursday at 5 p.m. for the weekly review with Vinnie and Sharifah.
5 p.m.
Now, yes, 5 p.m. And we were on time today. We were early, ready to go. Okay, so I like the So Loca. I like the guy who was invested. Now, you said you had another one.
Yeah, so the chiropractor one, that was kind of interesting. So we talked about their business and how one was a college athlete, the other one was a personal trainer from the age of 18. So they partnered up together. The one thing that was kind of interesting with that they brought up was the entrepreneur, the intern aspect of it. So they're saying when you're joining a company like a chiropractor, whatever it might be, is actually sit down with the owner and gain their trust, of course, when you're working there, but have a chance to look at their books and see actually how the numbers are instead of the fluff of what they might be telling you. So I thought that was kind of an interesting way of looking at it. When you're there, try to take advantage of the full situation.
Okay, I'm confused. This is the chiropractor?
Yeah, the chiropractor. He was giving advice to basically other individuals looking into the chiropractor field.
Okay.
And so if you're like an intern or maybe a chiropractor or another business professional, instead of just doing the daily task that they ask you to do as an intern, is over time gain their trust and go, hey, can I look at your books? Can I help you out? And so on and so forth. Now you're actually getting the full idea of building the mindset of how you can be a business owner in the future. So.
No, I like that. That's very interesting. I went to, I think it was last week or this week, I went to he's like a chiropractor, but they do this, it's called EPS. They do this type of treatment where they don't crack your back or anything like that, but they use spinal analysis is what they call it. And the whole belief is that your spine, your body has the ability to reset itself by using the energy in the body. It can correct everything that's in his body. So I went and I had a session. Now I'm trying to see how it's going to work because it felt much better than the chiropractor who would crack my back. But so I got to find it. I'm going to find it for you, Vinny, because you're giving me.
Do you go a lot to the chiropractor?
No. I only went because I won a session.
How do you win a session? What do you do?
I go to this group, right? Every it's network spinal analysis.
Okay.
And what network spinal analysis is, again, what they do is they I'm trying to find it. They call it basically a precise touch to the spine that cues the brain to create new wellness promoting strategies. So by touching basically a part of your spine, it resets the brain. It has the brain correct everything in your spine. It's woo-woo. So I go to this group called the Lunch.
Woo?
No, woo-woo. You never heard the term woo-woo?
No. What's woo-woo? Are you serious? I feel like you're making something up.
Vinny, no. You never heard woo-woo?
What does that mean?
Oh my God. I had to say, oh my God, Vinny, twice in one show. Like, Vinny, I need you, water cooler, Vinny. That's going to be my code for you. I need you to go to the water cooler. You are so, like, sheltered. I think you're a shelter. Do you get out much?
I feel like you're making up that word. You're trying to mess with me.
Google it.
I'm Googling
Vinny.
right now. Woo-woo?
Okay, go ahead. You Google it. I'll talk. Well, so woo-woo basically are people, you're laughing, I'm serious. People who have alternative methods of trying to do things. So when you think of your mediums and your psychics and your alternative healers, you know, see, y'all found it.
Oh man, you were definitely
Did you find
right that I'm wearing the straight edge outfit, and I guess I am straight edge.
So you found it, I see.
Yeah. Ooh.
What was the definition?
It says a descriptive of an event or a person espousing new age theories such as energy work, crystal magic, Reiki, bizarrely restricted diets, or supernatural, paranormal, physic occurrences.
Exactly. It's woo-woo. So it's Reiki, by the way. Hey, see, you gotta come out. Yes, you gotta come out to the water cooler. And so, right. So there's this group that I go to called Lunch Bunch, and it's a bunch of woo-woo type people, and we meet. It used to be monthly. Now it's twice a month. And everybody gets 2 minutes to share their business. And they're all like woo-woo type businesses, energy healing and everything like that. So I went 2 weeks ago, and this chiropractor who provides this network spinal analysis, they raffle off different things. And so I won his session. So I went to a session with him. I don't even know where I was going with this originally, Vinny. I was telling some story about my week and everything because we were talking about the chiropractors. But you need to get more woo-woo.
Well, so the reason why I was giving you, so I lived in Czech Republic when I was younger, right? And it was so funny because there wasn't a lot of Californians that were out there living there. And so they assume, like when they hear about San Diego, California, they go, oh, you live on the beach, you do that kind of stuff. And right, assumption, movie pictures. And so I was at a party with a bunch of Norwegians. Right? I had a Norwegian friend, and it was like, there was a Norwegian party. Actually, the Norwegian government would pay for the people to go to Czech Republic and go to med school there. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But anyways, so basically you can make, like, everywhere you go, there's traditional things that you can do about just whatever. So there was some peanut butter and a bottle of vodka. And so I took a scoop of the peanut butter and put it in my mouth and took a swig of the vodka. And I told one of the people, I go, yeah, this is a big thing that we do in San Diego all the time. And I got like a bunch of people to do it because so they believe me, you know. So that's why when someone tells me like that's a word or this is this, I go, are they doing what I did? Are they doing the peanut butter vodka trick?
No, not. I like that though. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna call that the peanut butter vodka thing that I learned from Vinny, who needs to go to the water cooler. But the reason I'm bringing up all these different things and these different things that I'm trying in these different sessions, it brings me back to my other show. So I started a third show this week. It is Monday mornings with Lucinda and Sharifah. And so what we do is we discuss everything from the woo-woo to the mainstream. And we actually try to do exactly what you said, the peanut butter and vodka thing. Like we test things to kind of see, is that real? Is that true? Does that work? You know, and it's really fun because we can discuss things because we're a part of the woo-woo, but some woo-woos are just woo out there, and we're like, no, that's not real.
What's one of the most wild woo-woos that you guys had this week?
I have to make sure certain people are listening to my show. But okay, we didn't have it this week, right? But I want to have this lady as a guest.
Okay.
Vinny, I'm telling you, this is not peanut butter and vodka. This is my life, right?
All right. Who is it?
This lady says that she channels dragons. So you're familiar with channeling, right? You channel spirits.
Yeah.
That's what people say. But this lady says she channels dragons. And so she says that the dragons are like the newest things, that come to us. So now all of a sudden the dragons want to speak to people. And so the dragons are with us 100% of the time, and the dragons give us messages. So I'm dying to be able to sit down with her and have a discussion on the dragons. Because my question is always this: if the dragons are with us, then where have the dragons been? And mind you, these are invisible dragons, right? So why do the dragons all of a sudden want to talk to us in 2019 when they didn't want to talk to us in 1920? Were the dragons asleep? So
serious question. You guys do a lot of edibles before you actually get on the show?
No, I don't do weed or anything like that. I did a long time ago, about 8 months ago, but not anymore. We have to be clear and clean so we can have these kind of discussions.
So is this the whole dragon thing? Is she just trying to get publicity for the whole Game of Thrones?
No, this is what she does for a living.
She checks. Okay, so how much research have you done on her? Is she be like, there's a dragon around here. I can feel it. I can feel the energy.
No, Vinny, you have your own personal dragon that's assigned to you. When you were born, your invisible dragon. I don't know where he's at. I can't see the dragon. But what I'm saying is when you were born, he was born there. He was with you since the day you were born to guide you. Because people talk about our spirit guides and angels and archangels. So the dragons, just like fairies, they're just another addition. So I want to talk about some of these things. I want to ask questions.
I talked about that. Have you seen that cartoon movie Coco? I think it's Coco.
No.
You haven't seen it? Oh, well, maybe.
No.
All right, so talking about the cartoon now with you. So it's about the afterlife, whatever. This Mexican kid or something like that goes to the afterlife. And
is this new?
No, I think it's like a year old. I don't know. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews. Okay, I'm not just some weirdo that watches a bunch of but. So in the afterlife, they each have their own animal. It's not all dragons. It could be like a dog or something like that. And that's close as I have to the idea. I try to correlate everything when I hear it.
I don't know. Because, see, let me tell you, Vinny, this is me. I love woo-woo because I'm very woo-woo. But I can tell you this one story that I thought was hilarious, right? Okay. Because of, to a certain extent, who I am and my presence within this community, a lot of the people, the holistic people, or a lot of the readers want to work with me. They want to impress me, right? So this is a true story. One day, one of the readers, she was like, I want you to try out my service. All you have to do is sit here on the couch. We'll put a little blanket on you. We'll put on this special music. And because the special music is, I don't know what it was doing to me, but it was supposed to be giving me healing messages and all of this. So I said, okay, I'll try it. So I sat down on the couch. I put the little headset on and she gave me the blanket, and it was like a lounge chair where you get to lay back. So I'm laying back. Guess what, Vinny? I fell asleep. And so about 30 minutes later, she woke me up and I was like, oh my God, I feel wonderful. I just feel great. And she went to lift the blanket off of me, and she noticed that the cord that was supposed to go into the music, it wasn't plugged in. So I wasn't hearing anything. And so she asked me, she's like, you weren't hearing anything? I'm like, no. And she said, why didn't you tell me that you weren't hearing anything? I'm like, I didn't know what I was supposed to hear. All I know is that I went to sleep. So the whole time, this wonderful meditation music, everything that she had, it was, I didn't even hear a thing. But guess what? I got a beautiful nap and I woke up feeling refreshed. Talking
about that, have you seen those, I think it's like New York, something like that, where they have the nap workouts?
No.
You never seen that?
No.
you pay to go to a class, and you just there's beds, I guess, and you take a nap there in the class.
No.
Nap workout.
Okay, but what's the workout aspect of it?
I don't know. I think it's just the idea that you're basically in a class together, so you get to feel like you're gonna work out. Oh wait, here's someone's talking about the dragons.
I know I was going to mention that. That's my friend Stacy. I love Stacy. She's part of the Lunch Bunch too. And Stacy is woo-woo, but she's woo-woo like me. We just like exploring and learning. So Stacy says, yes, you've got to interview the dragon lady. See, so Stacy tells you, I'm not making this stuff up, Vinny. So she says, I'm woo-woo, but a grounded type of woo-woo. So I'm skeptical, but would love to hear more about where she's coming from.
Yeah, it's I guess you can't judge anyone. Maybe there are dragons around us. We just can't see them. We're not on that level, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah.
I think you're speechless, Vinny.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm like, because I think we talked about it before, where there's 4 types. I think it's 4. No, maybe it's 3 types of possibility things or impossible things. Like you have like the idea of time travel, you have the idea of teleportation, you have the idea of stuff like that, and they break it down to the different levels. And there's one that's we know it's possible, but we don't know how to do it. There's one that it's possible because we can't prove it wrong, and there's one that we can prove it wrong. And so it's that kind of mindset when you think about just any kind of stuff that we don't know. It's interesting when you listen to like people talk about that, and they're breaking down like this one scientifically we can't prove it wrong. And so there's some stuff like that. Technically, we probably can't prove the idea that there are invisible dragons around us. It probably bounces out in our world. So it's I guess you can't technically laugh because they're probably laughing like if someone looked from like a caveman looked at our technology now, they'd be like, this is all like magic.
Right. So that's what they said about the electricity. You know what I mean? Like electricity, the telephone. How can you possibly speak to someone who's thousands of miles away?
Yeah. It's so no, it's I guess it's funny now, just because I think of how we look at our norm. That you really know there's always possibility that you got to be open minded to it. That's what I think. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
So what do you like? How does your vision of ghosts work out?
Okay, first of all, I can't tell you that I believe in ghosts, Vinny. Okay. I know that there are ghosts. I know that there are ghosts. I can tell you about a personal experience that I had. Okay. And nobody can, Vinny, if you can explain this to me, I want to hear it, okay? So I'm going to give you the brief synopsis of this story, okay?
Okay.
So one day, I'm laying in my bed, and I'm reading a book. And this is my story, not something I heard. I'm laying in my bed and I'm reading a book and I hear a voice say, it's Johnny. And I said, okay. And so I'm reading the book and then it said, it's Johnny. And I said, okay. And then he said, it's Johnny. And I was like, okay, Johnny, I'm trying to read my book. And so I went to sleep. So I woke up the next day and I started to walk out of the room. And I thought to myself, I said, what was that last night? I must have imagined it. And then all of a sudden I hear the same voice say, ask your mother, she'll know. So I called. I'm probably not even supposed to tell this story because it's a personal story. I hope I don't get in trouble with the family. But so I went to my mom and I said, Mom, did anything weird happen last night? She goes, no. I said, nothing happened? She said, no. I said, nothing weird happened? She said, no. Like what? I said, I don't know. I was just trying to see what happened. And so I started to leave, and she says to me, she said, you know what? Now that you mention it, something weird happened. And I said, what? She said, I was asleep, and I woke up last night, and I saw a figure standing at the end of my bed. And I knew it wasn't a person, a living person, because it was basically transparent. And I said, okay, well, did he look like this? Did he have his hat on? And then my mom said, yeah. I said, okay, well, it's Johnny. And my mom said, who's Johnny? I said, I don't know. And so we went on with the day. So later that day, my mom calls me. She said, I have to tell you what happened. I said, what? She said she was moved to call her cousin Joyce. Now, her cousin Joyce had a twin brother who passed away in his 40s. His name was Johnny. The night before, Joyce was having a horrible night. And she was just having a horrible time, and she was crying and she was in tears. And she was saying to herself that if Johnny was there, everything would have been okay. So why all of a sudden did I hear somebody say it's Johnny?
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. No, I just nothing to that extent. There was I was driving. We're like a small little street, whatever, and we're driving. Me and my cousin at the time, or my cousin, I mean, we're driving, and we see this old lady just kind of walking, barely kind of moving, and so we get probably about a couple cars in front, and then make a U-turn to come back, and she's totally vanished. So either she was really, really fast, or I think that was the closest thing I ever saw to a ghost. Like, it just seemed off. Like, she was staring at us the whole time, and then, like, gone, like, after we just engaged.
Yes. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's so many different things, like, that have happened that way that I couldn't even explain it. One of my friends I've known since we were I was in the 3rd grade. He was in the 4th grade. He passed away from cancer in 2007. 2009 or something. Well, as soon as he passed away, he had this card, and on the back of his card, he had it written, God is my source. And then he passed away. As soon as he passed away, every time I moved, every store I went to, I would see the same brand of car, same color car everywhere. And of course, I'm like freaking out because I'm like, this is totally weird. I'm missing him. I must have thought I met, seen the car. But so I'm sitting there talking to my mom one day, and notice all the woo stuff comes from my mom. You did notice that, right? But she says, we're talking, and she says, I hear your friend. And I'm like, my friend who? She was like, your friend. I'm like, my friend who? She was like, the one who passed away. So I mentioned his name, and she said, yeah. She said, I hear him saying, tell her she is seeing my car. And I'm like, well, he said, she repeated it. He says to tell you that you are seeing his car. And I hadn't even mentioned it to anyone that I was freaking out because I kept seeing his car everywhere. But when he was alive, he was in real estate, Vinny. I don't know why. I like the real estate man, but he had a lot of the Indian land because the Indians, they gave him a lot of land for the casinos and different things. So he was trying to sell this land. And so whenever he would show up, I would see his car pull in, I would have this sense of relief that everything would be okay. So in life, that was my sign that everything was going to be okay. So after he passed, I would always see his car everywhere. And so I would be like, okay, it's going to be okay. So explain those two things to me, Vinny. Explain them away.
I don't know. My mom's very spiritual with that kind of stuff, but I can't tell you one way or the other. Like, I think that's a difficult part, like a difficult point to really fight upon. Yeah, I mean, I think it's even the idea, because there's massive debates about basically a higher power and stuff like that. There's some very interesting movies about death and about the afterlife that you kind of watch out there. That it's just like, so those individuals, those beings, are they here on the planet to finish like a task or something that they need to take care of, or are they here for the infinite life? Like, so I think that's kind of like where you break it down. Because if it was here for the infinite life, it's crazy to think, what was that idea? We have more people, I might be butchering this. We have more people on the planet currently than all the years. Man, that was gonna be. There was some Neil deGrasse Tyson quote or something like that. I think I got, where it was just like the idea that from a certain time we've had more people, or we currently have more people on the planet than, I forgot what it was. But it's just crazy to think of all the dead people where they're actually, if everyone that died was actually ghosts here on the planet, where would they all be, or how would that be able to survive together? I gotta find that quote. What is that thing?
Yes, we have to find that quote. But it's interesting though. But the thing is, what a lot of people believe, and what I believe, is that we're all energy. And so since we're all energy, we've always been and will always be. But that's why I'm doing the Monday mornings at 10 a.m. with Lucinda and Sharifah. the woo-woo. That's my woo-woo versus mainstream. So we can sit down and we can discuss all these different things and have these deep conversations. You know, you and I, we stay away from the water cooler. We just review our podcasts, our video interviews. And so one of the things that I was really interested in, because last time you told me you had a speaking engagement. So I wanted to hear about your speaking engagement in the real world, not in the woo-woo.
Not in the woo-woo. So it was good. So we had three. So I spoke at my high school. I had 3 different sessions that I spoke at. 2 of the sessions that I spoke is at Cathedral. If anyone's a Cathedral alum, Uni alum. Okay. So that one right there, spoke at 3 different sessions. 2 of the sessions actually went good. One of them.
Let me hear about the third one.
Well, the middle one was the one that kind of messed up. The third one, I think I actually got into it. I felt like I was like a motivational speaker. I was getting out there and just like, I saw one of the kids, in the first one, the last one, I saw 2 kids just staring at me, soaking it all up. So I started getting the movement going. I was just like, oh, and so it was good though. Like 2 of the kids reached out about the idea of internships, and then like some of the other kids were talking about listening to the podcast, and I actually had the next day one of the biggest downloads on the show. So.
Oh wow!
I'm assuming there was a lot of the kids that downloaded it. With my assumption, I could be totally wrong, but so maybe my next life I'll be a motivational speaker. Maybe next week I'll start. One or the other.
Yes. Okay, so where can people listen and tune in to and download the show?
Oh, it wasn't. I didn't record it. I know Karini was there though. He was at the thing, and he did.
No, but your actual show, your podcast.
Oh, podcast, yeah. They can do it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put it in the comment section right now.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll put it in the comment section right now.
Okay, so while you're putting that in the comment section, I noticed you completely went away from the second speaking engagement because you said 2 out of 3 were good. So I want to get back to that one where what happened, Vinny? Share, talk.
So after the first one I did, like I was getting like man, that was really good. That was really good. Like high fives, that kind of thing. So I think I got a little too confident. So then when it was the second one, I was like, damn, man, I'm that good at like doing these off the cuff. And so then I tried to put a little extra flair on it, and that was probably just too much flair. And so then the third one, I brought it down a notch. And I think I was able to get everything across and bring people in. But I felt like each one, I almost felt like it was a comedy set. Where each set was a little bit different. But it was the same gist, same flow, everything.
Did you learn anything on your presentation, aside from not to be too cocky or too confident?
Yeah, I think the idea of getting that initial hook. So one of the things that I was talking about, there was a person on my podcast that was, and we've talked about this in the past, but they were a prostitute at the age of 15 to 18, right? And so these were all high school kids. And so they were like 16 to like 17, something like that. And so when I throw that out there, you see some of their eyes just like, oh, wow. So I kind of got their attention there and then kind of flowed off with the rest of it. So I think by getting that out there, flowed off. Another one that really got their attention was the time that I wake up. And again, I wake up fairly early. I wake up at 3:40. I'm kind of sleeping a little bit now. I'm waking up like 4 o'clock. But once they heard that, they're just like, oh my, what the heck? And so, so I think having those kind of like grabber things was really good. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you introduce yourself when you speak?
So like if this is a speaking engagement right now, say, hi guys, my name is Vinny. I run a real estate team, do some real estate coaching, and have a podcast. And the reason why I started this podcast, because I have the opportunity to talk to so many great individuals, like a lady I met the other day, Sharifah, and I'm able to get them onto my podcast and tell the story and spread the word of the greatness that they have to offer. So it kind of gives that kind of flow idea right there. What do you think about that?
No, I like it. I saw you go into your mode. Like it was almost a Clark Kent Superman kind of transition that I saw there, you know? Yes. Yes, exactly. Because sometimes when I do speaking engagements, I have to kind of think and kind of ask myself, like, what role am I playing? What role or how am I presenting myself? Because everyone's like, okay, well, what do you do? And I'm like, okay, which hat am I wearing right now?
Yeah.
Because I'm a CEO of a couple of different companies, from Crossroads TV to In the News PR. So am I presenting myself from that aspect? Or I also am the host of my own video cast, my own podcast. So am I presenting myself as the host? Or, I'm the co-founder of the Power by Purpose tour. Then I have this show, The Weekly Review with Vinnie and Sharifah. Now on Monday mornings at 10 a.m., I have Monday mornings with Lucinda and Sharifah. So sometimes I have to really focus on how I want to present myself, and as well as being a published author, to see, how to portray myself to that audience.
Yeah, so I would like, if I was talking on your behalf and someone, and you were asking, and that was you, asking what you do, I go, I'm in the entertainment industry. And then they say, oh, fantastic, what do you do? I wear a lot of hats, but my true thing is passing on the information out there of all the great people that are available. Keep it as broad as possible, and then allow them to kind of talk more. And if they're asking more and more questions, then you're going, out of curiosity, do you have a great story? And then you can kind of talk about them a little bit. And then get into the idea of, I do this. Like and it might be for myself, like having the idea of the coaching and the podcast for the real estate aspect of it. Again, I think we've talked about the low barrier of entry. So you see a lot of people that maybe have been wronged by maybe a realtor, or something might have happened, not the correct thing. So there's a negative connotation that goes with that. When I say kind of a coach, or I say basically a podcast host, it kind of gives some validity or some kind of like idea that I'm better than the scum of the earth. So like, it's kind of that flow. But I would, for you, I think, because you do wear so many hats, and you are a people person. That's in essence what you are. Is relaying that in the broadest of terms, so you can find out if they have a true story, and they're going to open up to you, and they might be actually a good interview for your podcast.
Excellent. I think that's wonderful advice. I went to my lunch bunch meeting yesterday, and we all get a minute to stand up and tell everyone about our business. And then I had people like my friend Stacy, who does sound baths. I have Lucinda, who runs a spiritual center in Anaheim. And Sandy, who hosts Lunch Bunch, she works with essential oils. So everybody is more holistic or more woo-woo than I am. My focus is always and has always been business and being an entrepreneur. So it doesn't seem like it would be a great fit, for me to be around so many holistic woo-woo type people. But for me, one of the things that I expressed yesterday is my focus is in sharing their stories, providing them a platform to be able to speak to the world, speak to mainstream about the different things that they do. Because some people may have, like you never even heard about woo-woo. And so I provide them a platform to share their stories.
Yeah. I heard of Lulu. That was kind of interesting.
This is not Lulu. This was woo-woo.
Oh, no, but you've heard of Lulu, right?
Lulu, the website Lulu?
No, Lulu, it's the idea of using holistic medicine to...
No, I've never heard that. You made that up, Vinny? Was that the peanut butter and vodka?
That was peanut butter vodka.
Don't do that. Don't do that, because I believe a lot, as you can tell. That's why I'm around the woo-woo people.
What? So what do you have planned for the rest of the week and next week?
Oh, you know what? This is one of the things. When I'm not interviewing people, I'm being interviewed. So the majority of my time is interviews in some form or fashion. I did 2 radio interviews this week. I think I posted. One was L.L. Walton's show. I posted that on my Facebook fan page. And then I did Dr. Ken Keese. He has a podcast, and I was a guest on his podcast. I posted that today. So I have interviews that are coming up tomorrow. I have interviews on Monday where I'm being interviewed, and that's really interesting. I get to share my story of how, I spent the last 25 years. That's why it was important for me to release my new book, Signs You Might Be an Entrepreneur, How to Discover the Entrepreneur in You, because this has been a 25-year journey for me. And so I just wanted to share a lot of the things I learned on my journey. but I'm being interviewed to promote the new book. So I have interviews tomorrow. I have interviews Monday. I'm going to try to get some sleep over the weekend. I have interviews where I have to interview people next week, and then I have my 2 shows. How about you?
I'm going on a boat cruise.
You're going on a boat cruise?
Yeah. I leave tomorrow, and I'm back Monday morning. So I don't know what I'm in store for. We'll see.
Are you going to tell us about it next Thursday at 5?
Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
You got to take notes because we want to hear.
Take notes, pass on pictures?
Yes. Post the pictures in the comment section because we want to hear everything.
Yeah, I have no clue. I went on a boat cruise. I think I don't even really remember it, but I went on something when I was in like high school. But I haven't gone on really a boat cruise forever, so I'm really curious how this will be.
So did you just Is this like you just decided to go? There's a boys cruise, a romantic cruise? Like what is this?
Well, so I got talked into this cruise by my sister.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
broke up. So a family cruise.
No, it's not a family cruise. No, it's me. It's like people from my gym that are going. But it's so I broke up I got broken up in a long-term relationship. Mm-hmm. And so like my sister's like, you got to just do stuff that you probably wouldn't do in the past. This is one of those things.
So Vinny, let me ask you, did you wait to the last 3 minutes of our show to tell everyone that you were just, like you said, broken up with? I think that's the term you used. I don't think that's typically how we call that. But okay, because there's a story there. I like to get deep and dig deep into
6.5 years.
Wow, and then they just broken up with you?
I'll try. I'm living the last couple of minutes at what they call a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So next Thursday at 5 p.m. on the Weekly Review with Vinnie and Sharifah, we're going to hear about Vinny's wild time on his boat cruise.
Yeah.
Okay, but look, if it's not wild, I'm going to need you to bring me back one wild story, okay? Just one, where you did something wild. I don't care what it is. I need you to just, unbutton that top button and do something. Take off the glasses. 6.5 years is a long time. So, and we want to hear all the details.
All right. I'll you know what? If I don't have the details, I'll make up the details.
That's good. That works for me. That's what they call ratings, Vinny. Ratings, okay? Okay. So since we are coming down to the last 2 minutes of the show, you got anything else you want to share with the people, Vinny?
No. Take a listen to the podcast, Road to Growth. I put in the comment section. Tomorrow morning we have a marketing expert on the show, so that'll be released. So I think that's a really good one to listen to. Have we talked about what's your morning routine? You listen to
that's the cliffhanger. We're gonna have to discuss.
Cliffhanger? Okay.
Yes.
So there's this guy, and I didn't realize it, and I know we have a minute left, that he basically, for the podcast, he takes YouTube videos and then he puts motivational speeches and it puts on a podcast form.
Oh wow.
And so I've been listening to his stuff that he puts on there. And it's like Gary Vee, it's Jim Rohn. It's like all these different people and great speeches, and it's really good. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. No, I do a lot of Google searching. I like to read information online. I wake up and I read what's going on in the world so I can talk about it at the water cooler. I like to be able to have intelligent conversations. I like to know what woo is. I like to know who Nipsey Hussle is. I like to know what's going on in the world.
Well, you know what? Just be careful that you don't get peanut butter vodka this week.
At the water cooler.
At the water cooler. Talk to you later, Sharifah.
We have a wonderful show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Yolanda, Francis, Nicole, Tammy, Jackson, Isabella, Charlene, Tom, Ulysses, Dollar Bill, Val left us, Michael Carini left us. But thank you all for joining us. And please go ahead and share this show. We will be back next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the weekly review with Vinnie. I can't even think. With Vinnie and Sharifah.
Are you trying to get rid of me already?
No, not yet. But it's time for that drink. Okay. So everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Good.
Bye now.